It's a strange kind of phase when you let go. Let your life flow like a river. Break away from material ego. You never know what's around the corner for you.
Dehancer asked me to test their plugin and give them and you a little review. So let's go. Dehancer is a film emulation plugin to give your films that old nostalgic look we know from the cinema. With 60 photographic and movie films and over 130 camera profiles, your possibilities are literally endless. Kodak, Cinestill, Fujifilm, Polaroid, and many more, you name it. Before we dive into the editing process, I want to give you a quick overview on the most prominent film effects we're going to use afterwards and in which Dehancer, in my opinion, really shines. The first one is grain. Normally, if you want to add grain to your videos, you would simply use an overlay. But real film gray isn't just overlaid. That's where Dehancer comes in. Dehancer reconstructs your whole shot and the grain gets kind of baked into your image. The second is halation. Halation is responsible for the red-orange halo effect around light sources, highlights, and contrasting edges. Third is bloom. Bloom creates a soft glow or mist around bright objects, which leaves you with a more vintage look. Gauge wave. Gauge wave stands for mechanical swinging of a film stripe while it's being pulled through a frame window in an old film camera. Basically and easy said, the minimal shaking you notice even in still shots. Fifth, film damage. Natural dirt like stains, hair, dust, scratches. And the final one, overscan. Normally when film stripes are scanned, they're cropped afterwards, but sometimes you want to keep all or part of the film, and that technique is called overscan. Now we're ready for some editing. To give you an insight into how Dehancer works, I'll take you step by step through the process of how I created this look. Now let's start with the edit. This is the clip we're going to be working with. I already did some basic color correction on that one, so we can start with the Dehancer plugin right away. The next thing we're going to do is create a new node, open our effects panel, scroll down right to the bottom, and there is going to be the Dehancer plugin. We just drag and drop that one onto our clip, and as you can see, we have already a shift in the picture. If you want to color correct, there's also an input type right here in the Dehancer plugin. I'm gonna close that one because I don't need that one. The next one is the most fun in my opinion. That's where you can choose your film look. Always look by all the effects that enable this ticked, otherwise you're going to see nothing. Now let's start. I'm gonna use the Kodak Gold 200 look. All the effects are customizable, so I'm going to shift it a little bit because I want it to be a little bit warmer. I would love if Dehancer would make it possible to just hover over the film profiles and have a quick preview over here. This would speed up the process of selecting profiles and would be incredibly practical in my opinion. So Dehancer, I hope you do that one day. Now let's go. After I put on the main look I'm going with, I'm going to customize that one real quick. A little bit more contrast, maybe a little bit darker, but gain. Just play around until you have the look you really are happy with. Just like that. I like that, therefore I'm going to close the film tab now. In general, I like to work with Dehancer from the top to the bottom. Now we're gonna use grain afterwards. The next thing I'm gonna do is add halation. I like to work with the 8mm Super 8. As you can see, all the edges have now this orange tone glow. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Maybe right now, for me personally, it's a little bit of overkill, so going with around 10. That's fine. Next I'm gonna do bloom. Always tick enable, never forget. Also here 8mm Super 8, maybe a little bit too much. let's zoom out. Just a bit like that. Just play around until you have the look you really like. The next one we're gonna do is film damage. Super 8. Play around with it a little bit. Maybe a little bit less. Yeah, I like it like that. The next film is film breath. Also, you probably wouldn't add all those effects into your clips when you're doing an edit. I just add as many as possible to show you how they work and how the workflow is in DaVinci. For me, actually, Dehancer was quite easy to get the hang of it, so I'm pleasantly and really positively surprised on that one. I think it's very much self-explaining. Next thing, let's go with Super 8. Okay, maybe a little bit less. Yeah, I like that. Next thing is 𝐑𝐄𝐕𝐀𝐍𝐓. Yeah, I already, maybe a little bit less. A bit more, just like that. Now we go back to grain. I didn't do grain right at the start because I think it's harder to see all the other effects, especially halation and stuff, to work with. And also it's a little bit harder for my laptop to play back the footage, so I do grain just at the end. Let's go with 35mm ISO 50. I think that's really the point where the image turns into this like old vintage memory-like look I wanted to achieve. And now the last thing I want to show you is overscan. Enable. I like the Super 35mm 137.1. As you can see, you can really customize every aspect about it. I just like it like that already. And here you have it. That's how I created this scene. I'm really happy with it. Of course, for some people this might be a little bit overkill, but I wanted it to be a little bit on top, and also like that I could show you most of the effects you're gonna use. And that's it. Now that we have seen some of Dehancer's incredible strengths, it's time to talk about some of the software's weaknesses as well. The first one would be you need a powerful computer. I worked with my MacBook Pro and the plugin worked perfectly fine, except my laptop had problems playing back the footage smoothly. The only other downside could be the price. At $449 for a lifetime subscription, the plugin is definitely not cheap, but it's worth the price. If you have use for the plugin, I would treat it like a bigger investment for the future and get it. If you want to make your investment cheaper, use the code MALICETOWN to get 10% off. If you're still not sure, Dehancer has a free trial, so have a go at it and decide. And don't forget, stay creative.